Hello everybody, my name is Dmitry Lagunov. I am curator of entomology collections at the Manchester Museum. Today we have a special guest, PhD student Rosie Stanbrook from the Metropolitan University, who is studying dung beetles in Africa. And she is going to tell us some stories about these nice creatures. So what is the main topic of your project, Rosie?
So Dimitri, the main topic of my project is looking at the community of dung beetles in a specific national park in Kenya. And it's important to document all the individuals in different places. So we have voucher specimens in museums, and everyone can come and see what dung beetles look like in the flesh. So specifically for my project, I study the ecosystem services that these dung beetles provide. Especially in Africa, we've got large herbivores, elephants, rhino and buffalo, and they manage to deposit, in some cases, up to 5 litres of dung per day, and up to 25 litres of dung for elephants per day. And what these dung beetles do is they manage to use their large front legs and their head, and they bury this dung into the soil, and this has many benefits, not only for them but for us as well. One of the benefits is that it removes the amount of dung on the topsoil and puts it into the ground, and this allows for the suppression of parasites. In Kenya especially, rinderpest and other parasites are prevalent in cattle, and as soon as the dung beetle puts the dung into the soil, it doesn't provide a habitat for other flies to lay their eggs. When the dung beetle actually does put the dung into the soil, it increases the carbon, nitrogen and potassium and calcium content for crops that farmers can use to increase the nutrient enrichment of their soil.
How do they recognize that there's fresh pieces of dung are laid? So how? Because I guess that there are some migratory animals like wildebeest. They go migrate long distances, and they leave their dung behind them. So does it mean that beetles follow them? Or? Essentially
it does, especially with the wildebeest migration. When the wildebeest defecates onto the soil, there's a special chemical released called butanone 9, and these dung beetles have a chemoreceptor on the inside of their antennae, and they're able to actually locate where this dung is, and they will fly, in some cases like this beetle, up to 4 kilometres to arrive at a freshly deposited dung path. So what you'll see the wildebeest moving through the Serengeti, and the dung beetles and other arthropods moving after them in a swathe. And this is really important because the wildebeest in the Serengeti can deposit up to 420 tonnes of dung a day. And it's suggested that dung beetles can actually remove 75% of this dung. And then could you imagine what would happen if dung beetles weren't present in our ecosystem? Imagine how much dung there would be lying in our grasslands in the Serengeti, what would happen to the grass, what would happen to the parasites, how disease would increase. So we'd lose an awful lot of our diversity and our habitats. And unfortunately, one of the greatest risks to dung beetles is the decrease of the large mega herbivores, that these are obligate feeders of their dung. So what's happening now with the increase of poaching, especially in Africa, these large dung beetles are in a massive decline. So this is an example of a beetle from the genus Heliacopris, and currently on the IUCN Red List, almost half of these beetles are listed as being under threat, due to the fact that they rely on elephant dung, and we all know that elephant populations are decreasing rapidly, and especially in East Africa they're decreasing drastically. So it's estimated that in 20 years' time there won't be any large elephant populations left, and consequently these dung beetles also might go extinct as well.
Well, does it mean that in order to conserve this beetle we need to take proper care of big animals first, and then it means we can conserve them?
Yeah. Commonly we have the term umbrella species, in which elephants are well known as being habitat disturbers, which also provides vegetation growth, but they also provide conservation protection for the smaller species that rely on them. So yes, consequently, if we preserve the big stuff, the little stuff that does the majority of the work in this world will continue to thrive.
Yeah. Could I ask you, what does motivate you to study these creatures, which some people might see as ugly or dirty or something like that? Is it possible?
I find them absolutely fascinating. I love the way there's different behaviours for different species. I find them beautiful. The different colours that you can get on the beetles. But also for me, it's mostly their conservation aspect, that they do so much for us, and they're largely unrecognised for doing the good job that they do.
During your research, have you found any rare or unknown, maybe undescribed species of dung beetles?
I have. I've actually discovered 2 new species to science. One which has just been named, and the other one will be named in due course. I was lucky to discover the newest species during my field work in Kenya last summer. I knew immediately when I saw it. It was a very small little beetle, about 2 millimetres, that I hadn't seen anything like it before, and I got quite excited. Immediately captured it and stored it away, and then when I came back to the UK in September, I started looking into describing the species and was really happy to discover that it was in fact new to science.
Yeah, and I'm very pleased to add that this species, when it's described voucher specimen, will come to the Manchester Museum and will be retained here as part of our large research collection.
Yeah, and everyone should come and see it. I think it's the only African dung beetle species to be named in the last 2 years. So it's a really good thing for Manchester Museum to have.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very much, Rosie. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitri.